All right, Rangers, today we're diving headfirst into the biggest stories shaking the Ibrox rafters. From serial Dezers potentially heading for the exit door, has Clement just pulled the rug out from under him? To Brendan Rodgers already having a moan about refs before a ball's even been kicked in the cup final. And wait till you hear what Nicholas Raskin's been doing off the pitch. Let's just say it involves a chef and some serious food for thought. But that's not all. Philippe Clement's got a plan to fix our dodgy transfer model, but will it finally put us back in the black? And speaking of transfers, could Václav Černý be yet another Lone Star slipping through our fingers, just like Abdallah Sima? There's a lot to unpack here, folks, and trust me, you don't want to miss a second of it. Let's get stuck in. The Cyril Désir saga takes another twist, doesn't it? So our big lad up front might be packing his bags, eh? Apparently, Philippe Clement's gone cold on him, and now there's chatter about Désir's leaving Rangers in January. You've got to wonder if this is all part of Clement's grand plan, or if the man's just hedging his bets because he doesn't fancy him anymore. Let's not forget Dezers came in for a tidy sum, 5 million euros from Cremonese, which was a fair punt. And he's not exactly set the heather on fire, has he? 34 goals and 12 assists in 77 appearances. Sounds decent on paper, but we've all seen him miss sitters that your granny could have tapped in. The frustration's palpable, and he's taken a pelting from the fans for it. Still, 22 goals and 9 assists last season isn't to be sniffed at. That's proper graft. But if Clement's got no use for him now and reckons he can do better, you've got to wonder what's coming next. A new striker in January, they're saying? Well, that's a gamble if ever there was one. You know how this goes. Sell Dezers, bring in a dud, and we're left pulling our hair out. It's a risky game, especially with Clement's own position not exactly nailed down. If the board's backing him on this, it's a big vote of confidence. But if things go belly up and we flog Dezers without a proper replacement, the fallout could be monumental. 2 years left on his contract means we might still get a decent fee, but money doesn't win matches. Goals do. Here's one for you to chew over then. If Clement's staying, do you trust him to ship out Dezers and get it right in January, or is it madness to let him go when we're already light up top? Here we go again. The eternal dance of Brendan Rodgers and his gripes with officiating. So, John Beaton's landed the gig for the Premier Sports Cup final against Celtic, and before the poor sod's even blown the whistle, he's already got Rodgers and the usual Celtic suspects sharpening their pitchforks. You'd think he'd personally handed Rangers every decision in the book the way they're carrying on. Rodgers, of course, brings up that Hearts game from last season like it's gospel. Oh, the officiating was shocking and cost us the game, he says. Right, Brendan, because it's never your tactics or your squad that come up short, is it? And Chris Sutton never one to miss a chance to stoke the flames, calling him Brother Beaton and hinting he's Rangers' 12th man. That's rich coming from a man who's built a second career on stirring nonsense. It's always the same with them. If they win, they're world beaters. If they lose, it's the officials. The pressure on Beaton's unreal now, and you've got to ask, where's the SFA in all this? Can you imagine if Rangers fans, or better yet, someone like Ali McCoist, came out with half as much venom about a ref? The outrage would be deafening. But let's not pretend we're saints either. Beaton's no stranger to a howler, and we've had our fair share of grumbles. Still, the man's officiated more old firm derbies than anyone else these days, so he knows the stakes. Whether he'll get through this one unscathed or end up the scapegoat for whoever loses is anyone's guess. Now here's a thought to rattle the cages. If Rodgers is so convinced Beaton's biased, should Celtic even bother turning up? Or is this just their usual excuse in case they bottle it at Hampton? Well, Nicholas Raskin's taken a leaf out of the get your house in order playbook, hasn't he? As the lads finally clocked that maybe the late night takeaways and guessing his macros weren't exactly doing wonders for his injury record. Enter Chef Alex, the culinary superhero of Rangers HQ, whipping up dishes that would make any sports scientist weep with pride. It's a smart move from the Belgian midfielder, I'll give him that. He's only 23, but he's clearly got a few miles on the clock already with all those injuries. If sorting out his diet keeps him on the pitch and out of the physio's room, then fair play to him. Plus, it saves him from standing in his kitchen wondering if chicken nuggets count as protein. I don't have to think too much, he says. We've noticed, Nicholas. And listen, having a club chef sort out your meals isn't exactly revolutionary, but it does show a bit of maturity. It's a reminder that for all the glitz and glamour of football, there's still a lot of basic graft behind the scenes. If a few perfectly grilled chicken breasts and some steamed veg can keep him in the engine room for Rangers, then sign me up for Alex's meal plan too. Here's the spicy question to leave hanging. If the club chef is this good, why aren't we handing out his meal preps to the whole squad? Or are some of the lads too busy ordering chips to keep up with the likes of Raskin? Philippe Clement's pulling no punches, is he? The message is crystal clear. Rangers need to stop buying OAPs on footballing terms, start snapping up promising youngsters and sell them on for tidy profits. It's hardly reinventing the wheel. Celtic have been dining out on that model for years, but the fact Rangers are lagging so far behind is a proper sore point. Look at the numbers, £810,000 raked in for 5 players last year, while we posted a loss of 17 million. That's not just bad business, it's like trying to run a chippy that gives away the fish for free. The departures of guys like Lammers, Cantwell and Barisic. Clement's clearly biting his tongue, but you don't need to be Hercule Poirot to see where he's pointing the finger. Poor contract management. He's bang on about age being a factor too. Signing a lad at 28 or 30 and slapping him on a 4-year deal? You might as well throw a brick through the bank manager's window. Contrast that with younger signings like Diomande and Hamza Igamane, who at least give the club a fighting chance to make some dosh later down the line. That's the direction we need to be heading. Loans, a necessary evil, Clement reckons. 1 less loan per year, and 1 more permanent player with resale value. That's the aim. Slow and steady might win the race, but it's not much comfort when Celtic are sprinting off into the distance. And then there's the academy question. Clement's digging at Scottish football as a whole here, not just Rangers, but he's got a point. Holland, Belgium, Croatia, they've all got their act together, giving their young talents proper game time. Us, we're still faffing about, pretending loans to lower league clubs are a golden ticket. It's not enough. If we want to compete, we've got to get serious about developing our own. Here's one to stir the pot. If Celtic can turn water into wine with their transfer model, what's stopping Rangers? Poor planning? Bad luck? Or is it that we've just been too stubborn to admit we need to change? Here we are again, the Václav Černý situation, shaping up to be yet another case of what might have been for Rangers. 9 goals and counting for the Czech winger, topping the Premiership charts and looking every inch the star we've been crying out for. Yet when summer comes, off he'll trot back to Wolfsburg because, surprise, surprise, we didn't secure an option to buy. Sound familiar? Of course it does. Just swap Cerny's name for Abdallah Sima, and you've got the same frustrating story. Clement's not mincing his words either. He knows the club's financial limitations are part of the problem, but you've got to ask, who's making these decisions? Loaning quality players without a buy clause is like borrowing your mate's Ferrari but knowing you'll be back to your rusty old motor when the weekend's over. Wolfsburg will have us over a barrel if we even try to buy Cerny come summer. £6.5 million is the starting bid, and we're already skint. It's not just about Václav, though. The AGM bombshell about flogging Cantwell, Lammers, Wright, Goldson, and McCrory for a grand total of £800,000, that's not just poor, it's laughable. James Taylor's excuse, still paying for mistakes from the Beale era, is a classic case of passing the buck. Fair enough, wages are a factor, but this is Rangers, not a fire sale. We've got to be better at this. The bigger issue is Clement's long-term vision, and he's bang on. Loan deals are a quick fix, but they don't build value. For every Abdallah Sima or Václav Černý who lights it up, you've got half a dozen players leaving for peanuts because no one's managed their contracts properly. Bringing in young, hungry talent with resale value has to be the focus, but that takes time, and patience isn't exactly a luxury we've got. For now, Clement's rightly basking in the glow of that 6-0 demolition of Kilmarnock. If we can replicate that kind of form on Sunday at Dingwall, it'll be another step in the right direction. But here's the burning question to put to the fans. Can we really afford to keep building our team on loans? Or is it time to take a financial gamble and back Clement properly?